What is going on, YouTube? This is your daily dose of mental health, and in this video we will be discussing my Tramadol withdrawal journey and a specific book that really helped initiate my recovery and my day-to-day mental health as it stands. As everyone knows, I've been around 2.5, 3 years clean now, actually closer to 3 years. I actually don't know the exact date when I got clean because it was so bad at the time. But I want to just give some tips and some audiobooks as well that can be used, especially once you get past that first physical part of your withdrawal, which for me is actually, it's hard, but it's the harder part for me is the mental cravings that follow typically past the post-acute withdrawal stage, which can be anywhere from 3 to 5 days after your last dose, and that's where you have more of the depression, the cravings, without more so the physical withdrawals. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. I've got some other Tramadol withdrawal videos that I've done in my past, and I'm going to go and just make a playlist of them where you can follow from about a year ago, about my Tramadol withdrawal journey, and supplements and stuff I used early in the recovery. But this will focus on more so other techniques. So this isn't about supplementation or anything. This is more so about different strategies, techniques, books, things like that really help me past that post-acute withdrawal stage. So this is really intended for anyone 3 to 5 days, like really after that first 3 to 5 days of your recovery, because I still apply it to this day on some of the stuff I use, and that's it. So if you like it, please like and subscribe. There should be a subscribe button in that right-hand corner down there where my pin is. And sorry to people who've been putting some comments out lately. I just actually saw one, and I'm going to get back to you. Forgot the name of the channel, but it was like Veterans in Pain. I forgot, and I will get back to you in regarding to your message. I have not forgot about it or ignored it. I've been very busy in my own personal life and have been dealing with some things as well, especially in regards to the new job I'll be starting. I'm an RN. But let's go ahead and get this going. So yeah, let's go. So essentially what I want to do in regards to Tramadol withdrawal, I want to talk about, for me, let's go past that 3 to 5 days of beginning recovery. So that physical withdrawal, which I will link. There's a video I will put at the very end of this that you can actually check out that talks about my early journey. And I'll make a playlist for all my Tramadol withdrawal videos. And I'm going to I might even go back and make some videos describing what early recovery was like, so you have more of an idea of kind of a chronological order on my whole story, because I know it's kind of everywhere, but I want to go ahead and get it all linked together within the next week to month, just depending on everything goes. But this is past the post-acute, this is the post-acute withdrawal phase. And I still use these techniques today. So what I'm going to be pulling first is from this book called The War of Art. It's by Steven Pressfield, and they actually have it on YouTube. It's an audiobook, because it, in my opinion, can be applied to anyone in any situation at any time. This can go to somebody who has anxiety, depression, a substance abuse disorder, anything. And I went ahead and wrote some stuff down, and that's what I'm going to be looking down reading from. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting out some of these quotes. So this is kind of how I summarize. So this book was by Pressfield. It's called The War of Art. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the 5 big ideas. And I'm going to go ahead and throw these out here. Resistance cannot be seen, touched, heard, or smelled, but it can be felt. We experience it as an energy field radiating from a work in potential. It's a repelling force. It's negative. Its aim is to shove us away, distract us, prevent us from doing our work or whatever we desire. That's the number one idea. So kind of think about how you can be applying what I'm saying to your own situation and whatever it is. Number 2, if you take resistance at its word, you deserve everything you get. Number 3, the awakening artist must be ruthless, not only with herself, but with others. Number 4, the best and only thing that one artist can do for one another is to serve as an example and an inspiration. Number 5, The power to take change is in your hands. All you had to do is believe it. Now, the two that hit home for me out of these ideas from this book are number 4 and 5, and I'm going to reread them. The best and only thing that one artist can do for one another, for another, is to serve as an example and an inspiration. And the power to take charge is in your hands. All you had to do is believe it. Man, for me, that number 5 hits home. All you had to do is believe it. Because I'll never forget, and I'm going to relate this to sometimes how I would slip up in my early days, how I would be clean for, I would get a month clean with Tramadol. I would have 1 month clean, and then I'd go slip, and then I would down spiral again, and then from there I would try to get clean again, and I'd repeat this cycle over and over and over again, and I'd get more and more depressed, and my anxiety would get worse and worse, and I was convinced I was going to die. I mean, that's the reality of this situation. This is what substance abuse, not only substance abuse, this is what anxiety, depression, mental health disorders will do to somebody. However, the power to take charge is in your hands. All you had to do is believe it. Now, I know that's a very generic statement, but for me that hit home so hard. Meaning, I look back at my recovery, and what I have learned is each time I did relapse, I learned something from it each time. I learned something new about me. I learned something new about my mental health. I learned more about my impulses. And for anyone that's clean out there who has went through that cycle of being clean, then relapsing, I would make that argument that each time you learn something new about yourself. But all you had to do is believe. That is so true. There are so many, in my opinion, negative influences in this world that will tell you, oh, this person tried it and they failed. They failed trying to get sober. They failed, and they had to be on some medication their whole life. Which I'm not opposed to medications, but they will always have horrible anxiety their whole life. There's nothing they can do about it. But I'm here to tell you, I beg to differ, because if you would have seen me, honestly, 3 to 5 years ago. And I know I look like probably a sloppy person, but I'm still building in my own recovery to this day. You'd be surprised out there how many people can go day to day and put on a good face and go work and be functioning, addicts. But that's not their story. And it's things like this, these quotes that I read, that help me find my motivation. And one person I'll say that really inspired me early in my recovery was Stephen Pressfield with this book. Also, CG Kid, if you ever heard of him on YouTube, him talking about his addiction to meth and whatnot. Those are the kind of things we need to see more of on YouTube, because those are the people that ultimately will inspire you to get clean. You'll have this internal drive, this resistance within you each time when you want, instead of, the next time you think about going to pick up or whatnot, or you shouldn't be picking up, and then you met with this resistance saying, oh, it'll be fine, do it one more time. But let me tell you, there was always that one last time where that was their last time picking up, and they died, and they overdosed, and they didn't get another chance. So fight that resistance you feel inside. If it's telling you, oh, it's okay, go pick up, fight it. Fight that, even though it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt like hell. I'm telling you, long term, it pays off. There's something about that, and that's why I'm making a lot of these videos with mental health and my recovery, because all I want, if at the end of the day I can help one person out there stay clean, or at least put the idea in their mind of that that they think they're going along, they're overdosing, they don't think they have a problem, but then they see my video and they're like, man, maybe I do have a problem, maybe I should quit. If I can just instill that grain of a mustard seed within yourself to get clean, that's all that matters for me at the end of the day. And I want to reiterate, I'm not against medications. Like, for example, if somebody has a heroin problem and they need to take Suboxone or methadone, I'm not against that. If that is what is helping you stay clean and not overdose, and you're living a healthy, productive life, or you have to take a medication long term, and that's benefiting you and helping you, do it. That's what they're for. Everyone, though, has a different story. That's why the judging factor in each one, that's why that's got to stop. You know, I've talked about I took kratom. I took kratom. Lately, I haven't been taking it much at all. But yes, I took kratom early in my recovery, and that really helped me. And I know there's a lot of judgmental people out there that don't think that, that's just replacing a drug for a drug. Well, then I'm the walking example that was one of the things that really saved me early in my recovery. But that wasn't the only thing. That was just one aspect of it. So that's kind of, and the reason why I brought up this book, The War of Art, it's because it talks about, in my opinion, how it really hit home with me on how, I was somebody who felt like I'd given up and I was just going to die an addict. But reading these books about the muse and the resistance you can fight with internally flipped a switch in my mind and is what really helped me. And another thing with post-acute withdrawal, things that really helped, after you go through the physical withdrawal, start a journal. Start when you're an addict. I think we can all agree that we tend to always have our schedule, like at this time, and this time is when I was going to use, and that time was always set aside for it. It didn't matter what came. That was the number. That was the priority. And when you're early in your recovery, your mind, when you get to the time when you should be using or doing whatever it is when you were an addict, that's when you're going to be met with some of that resistance on, oh, it's okay, slip this time, it's all right. It's crucial that you switch up and you change if you can. I know some people can't change environment, but when it comes to the time when you were using or you had something you did and when you were actively using at that time, like, oh, it's 7 o'clock, that's when I go pick up whatever. This time I go do this, then I play video games. You need to completely switch up your routine, especially once you get out of that physical withdrawal, which I know at first that can be really hard and you really are laying in bed and whatnot. But starting things like exercising, starting a new sleeping routine. I know with me, I used to like to stay up all night. With me, I started going to bed earlier, which changed it to where when I was up early in the day, that's when I wasn't using, that's when I was sleeping. That's when I started really learning how to journal, write down what I was feeling. And I know that might sound to some people like, oh, that won't do anything. That's exactly how I felt. But journaling, in my opinion, writing how you're feeling, and you don't have to give it to anyone, just write. It'll tell you a lot about yourself. You'll discover new hobbies. For me, making a YouTube channel 3 to 5 years ago, I would have said, you're fucking nuts. You are fucking nuts. I hated, first off, I didn't mind talking to people, but I didn't think I'd have the time for this, and I just didn't care. I was a selfish person. But one thing I learned when I got clean was how I didn't want to be selfish. I wanted to help others spread the word on recovery, what it is. For me, AA and NA never really worked. The concepts for that, I tried, it didn't work for me. Now, for a lot of people, it is a lifesaver, and I've seen people who it's helped. It's an amazing program, but that wasn't for me. It's really crucial, because what we tend to do as addicts early, when we're using, is we isolate. And then when we stop, we feel like we have no one there to help us. It's hard to tell anyone about it, but I can tell you, if you can tell just one person about your problem, or if you have a group of friends that are sober or whatnot, talk to them about it. They will be there for you. And if they're not, stay away from them. Finding people of like mind. This is why A and NA, if you've never tried it, but you feel like you won't like it, you should at least give it a try, because when you're around like-minded people who have been through similar experiences as you, it can make the difference. That's a primary reason I'm making this channel, for people who don't like A or NA. For me, watching YouTube videos on people's recovery and whatnot, and